What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm getting through it a little bit. I woke up a little fluish this morning, but I'm feeling better as the day goes on. Hopefully that means my body's fighting it off. And we've got an interesting story coming out of, and I will use initials from now on because apparently that's what YouTube wants, the AH and JD scenario. Now, there was a case about, what is it, almost a month ago now, maybe 2 months ago, where JD was bringing this case against a newspaper in the UK who he claimed defamed him by simply printing a terrible headline with no evidence, which they didn't have at the time. I still believe, like I believed then, that he will not win this case because I just think, these cases are very difficult to win. Perhaps it's easier in the UK. I don't know. I know less about UK law than I do United States law, and I know very little about that. We saw some cases like Nicholas Sandmann winning some amount of money from these places. I don't know what. That was never disclosed, but these were settled with CNN and I think with the Washington Post as well. Whether that it was some sort of cash settlement or I don't know. But apparently he won in those cases. So you can win, but it's just not easy. With all of the information that's been put out there, I think I find myself squarely in the position that both of these people have major problems. I think the only reason I tend to side with JD is simply because he didn't start all of this. He didn't post an article in the Washington Post providing no evidence, essentially slandering the other partner. The recordings from their marriage are just awful. Probably would be textbook toxic relationship. I just don't understand why anybody would want to stay with somebody if it was that bad. I mean, the idea that, your spouse is recording you, that kind of tells me that there's probably, maybe it's time to just move on. You're both good looking people. You're both multimillionaires. You'll bounce back. But the question really remains, Warner Brothers knows what is going to happen when Aquaman 2 is announced. They know that there's going to be a huge boycott that they're going to have to deal with in the entire run up. They also know that they've made $0 in cinemas, or very little money in cinemas this year, and will likely make even less in the first quarter of next year, as I believe strongly that many theaters will collapse as a result of this, and many of them just won't survive it. Not to mention, people themselves just won't be as eager to go back and sit in a movie theater. I just think that there's going to be a percentage of the population that never goes back to the movies. But Warner Brothers, I think, has found that this article says they have found a way to fire AH without firing her. Now, I just want to point out, I'm pushing hard to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. I can't do it without you. And because I know that, I'm hoping that today will be the day I earn your subscription. There's a little red button right below the video. Also, in the pinned comment, I'm giving away an Xbox Series X. So maybe that'll convince you to subscribe. In the pinned comment, you can read more about that. Now, AH is currently leading a $50 million case against ex-JD, planned to hit Virginia courts next month, which seems like the drama, the former celebrity couple, isn't likely to die down anytime soon. This is incredibly problematic for Warner Brothers, which has previously cast both AH and JD in their two biggest film franchises. But if a new rumor is to be believed, Warner Brothers might have found a way to move past AH and JD if need be. According to Grace Randolph's host of Beyond the Trailer YouTube show, Warner Brothers is already thinking a few steps ahead. She writes, one more post for today. Ezra Miller and JD are definitely in Fantastic Beasts 3. AH is definitely in Aquaman 2. However, they are shooting the films so that JD and AH's roles can be decreased if the press is bad. Also, a new female character will be in Aquaman 2. Interesting. So it appears maybe they're looking to replace her. I'm not sure. While JD is being called to appear in court for the case from November 10th, October 12th? What is this? November 10th through the 12th. Sorry, November 10th through the 12th. Can I read? In Fairfax County, Virginia, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3, in which JD plays Grindelwald, is currently filming in the United Kingdom. Warner Brothers' legal team wrote a letter on September 8th stating that we require JD to be in the United Kingdom from September 17th through the anticipated end of production in mid-February 2021. As of right now, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3 is scheduled for a November 12th, 2021 release. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers was hoping last year that Aquaman 2 would begin filming in early 2021, but it's unclear due to the lockdowns. Have things changed? Aquaman 2 is planned for December 16th, 2022. Jeez, this is just so far away, which gives that production far more leeway in terms of changes than Fantastic Beasts 3, and as of now, is planned to return as Mera. Of course, Randolph's post is simply making a lot of obvious points, so it's not like any of this information is that much of a stretch. It would be strange for JD to not be in Fantastic Beasts, considering his character is the primary villain, and it would be equally odd if disappeared from Aquaman 2. Plus, it's only natural that Warner Brothers would try to minimize their screen time if in case this latest appearances become too negative. As was seen in the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Grindelwald can change his appearance from Colin Farrell to JD, so who's to say he couldn't change back? Finally, saying that there be a new female character in Aquaman 2 seems like a sort of a given, considering most superhero films do introduce new characters in sequels. I mean, it's interesting. Now, there's obviously this rumor that things have been reduced. I don't know. I mean, I think that probably you just let them both star in the movies. I don't really know here. To me, it seems like is a little worse than JD, in particular in the audio recordings from their mediation. She definitely comes across as very rough, mocking JD for being vulnerable. And I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I'll have to say that this is a perfect example of she started it, so who knows? Will it hinge on the court cases? What happens? Let's look at a scenario where maybe JD wins his case in the UK and he won in Virginia. What would that look like? I mean, logically, you would think that he should be able to resume work, but that's not the way Hollywood works. I mean, he's a man, so therefore he is bad. If wins, let's say she won the Virginia thing, which I don't think she will, since I think any judge looking at this is going to say, like, look, you both engaged in a lot of bad stuff. I think it would be extraordinarily difficult for a judge to look at this situation and pick one side over the other. I don't think that it's possible. They're both going to waste a bunch of money, and the only people that are going to get paid are lawyers, as usual. But let's say wins. Does that mean JD's banned forever? Maybe. Probably. It's going to be interesting to watch unfold. We should have a verdict in the coming days from the UK suit against the newspaper, so we're going to have to wait and see how that shakes out. I'm guessing they're giving them enough time to try and settle. A settlement would probably still be considered a dub for JD. It's going to be interesting to see, but it looks like an interesting way to mitigate risk. I don't think, though, that reducing AH's role, her role is really going to stem any of the backlash. If she's in the film even for a minute, people are still going to demand that minute be removed. That's just the way people work. The same thing with JD. Now, I don't see anywhere near the calls to remove him as there are for AH. A lot of that is subject of, the information we've seen, the pictures, much of the evidence that AH thought was going to paint him in a bad light ended up painting her more as a vindictive ex as opposed to a caring spouse. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I will continue to cover the story here on this channel, and I hope that today will be the day I've earned your subscription, and we'll talk to you again real soon.